Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see you, and I met a few of you, so thank you very much for having me here. It's been a great day. We flew in this morning. I don't know if everybody knew, but we spent some time at the university. There's a lunch fundraiser for Girls in the Game, which is an initiative that's very close to my heart. And to be able to come here and support girls in sports and college sports is really important to me. And I think really, other than the luncheon, I mean, that's why we're here. That's how we got together with the Haskins Commission a few years ago when the Annika Foundation was approached, and they wanted to know if we were interested in supporting an award where you celebrate the best collegiate female golfer. And I think we were all surprised to hear that there wasn't such an award in place already. And going back to my college days, I realized that it wasn't, and then I thought, well, it would have been great if there was such an award.
One more award for you.
Just to inspire the next generation. So these discussions started about 5 years ago, and then this year we had our fourth Annika Award presented by 3M. We had it in Minneapolis, close to 3M headquarters, and it was a very nice celebration of these young ladies. And we had Leona McGuire from Duke, Ireland, originally. She won it for the second year, and it's just been a great little addition for the Annika Foundation to celebrate these young girls, and that's what we're all about, is to create opportunities for these young aspiring golfers, but certainly to fulfill their dreams through golf and other opportunities. So I want to thank you for coming to us and giving us this platform, really, because now we have an event and it's just kind of grown, and it's
terrific.
A big part of what we do in the Annika Foundation. So it's been great, and then to come here and get to see some of you that have been part of this commission for a long time and what you do, it's kind of all coming together.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you wonder why I'm up here. Okay. We did this in Minneapolis, where Annika spoke to all of the collegiate players that were there. There was supposed to be a clinic, and the weather was bad, and we ended up inside the clubhouse, and we did a little bit of a Q&A session with Annika, except the questions were not coming, and so my role was to ask the questions at that. So it worked well, so we're doing it again. And there's so many stories that Annika can tell. And so it's my job to prod her in the right direction as to which stories are appropriate. So Annika. Let's talk about something that's probably, it was a great experience. The outcome was not what you wanted. Talk about the Solheim Cup experience for you as coach in this year, and how was it?
Sure, I'll be happy to talk about it. I know, does everybody know what Solheim Cup is?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the female version of the Ryder Cup. So I've been lucky to represent Europe 8 times, been the vice captain 3 times, and then this year I was the captain, and it was this past August in Des Moines, Iowa. So of course we're the away team. And it's really a journey for the captain. It's a journey for about 18 months, and then you include some vice captains and some other helpers. So it's kind of a team effort in all the preparation. And like everybody else, we're as competitive as the U.S. team. And Julie Inkster was the U.S. captain, and tremendous team. And it was just it was an incredible experience. Like you said, maybe the outcome wasn't what we had in mind. I mean, everybody would love to leave with a trophy. I thought both teams played excellent. I mean, we really were outplayed. I was very proud of the European players, how they performed. It just wasn't good enough this particular time, but just the camaraderie and just everything around it was just fantastic. I mean, as you know, golf is an individual sport. We don't often get a chance to get together as a team, and but when we do every other year, it's just, there's something special about it. And if you played team sports, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, but as golfers, we really don't. So it was just, a special week where you bond. We had players that were teenagers, and I think our oldest player was 47. So there was a variety of players, not just from an age standpoint, but experience from communication standpoint. I thought was really funny. just because, as a captain, I like to communicate with the team in different ways. And early on, I would meet them in tournaments, but I wouldn't go out to every tournament. I mean, it's they got to focus on there. But I would go out to a few tournaments, mostly the majors, and touch base with them. But I didn't always see them, so I would send emails and I wouldn't get any response. And I would say, okay, how do I communicate with you? And all these teenagers, it was texting and Snapchatting, and it was I learned a lot how you communicate with the younger generation and how how they look on things and their approach to the game, which is different than maybe than I played. I mean, the game has certainly changed, but no, it was a wonderful week with tons of experiences as far as laughs, and I mean there were some tears, and there were some tough decisions to be made, but just all those things that just kind of be part of it. And yeah, so I'm very proud to represent Europe, and 2 years from now it's going to be Glen Eagles, Scotland, and the European team has already announced their captain. It's going to be one of the players that we had, Katrina Matthew. She's from that part of the world. She's I think 10 minutes from the golf course, so it makes a lot of sense. She's played in 8 or 9 of them, I believe. So we'll see what kind of team the U.S. will bring. I know it's always the very best, and yeah, it's just certainly a highlight of my career.
I asked you if you had mixed emotions because you really do live in the U.S. now. And
yeah, no, I was the first European captain to have dual citizenship. So, the week before you're best buddies with them, and then you have a little break, and the next week you're best buddies again. So, it is funny because I remember when I was appointed the captain, I remember telling our kids, especially our daughter, she's 8 now, but she was 7, and I told her, and she looked at me and goes, well, I'm cheering for the U.S. Hang on, sweetie, we have a few months to work on this. And she goes, I hope you play well, but I hope the U.S. play better. So, yeah, it was fun. Both the kids loved it, and it's just such an amazing atmosphere. I don't know if you've been to a Ryder Cup or a Soham Cup. There's just something different about it.
Yeah, well, yeah. All right, so limited time, so we're going to hit some hot subjects here. Okay. Let's talk 59. And I've heard it's a wonderful story. Can you talk about the day you shot 59?
Yeah. I can do that. March 16, 2001. Not that I remember. It was a Friday, and it was the second round of the Standard Register Ping, which was one of the first tournament on the LPGA. As a matter of fact, we played at Moon Valley, which is where the Soham family, going back to Soham Cup.
There you go.
This is really their home course, and I remember warming up, nothing fantastic, just a normal Friday. Birdied the first hole, birdied the second, birdied the third, and then I birdied the fourth hole, and now I'm feeling pretty good. I think it's going to be a decent day. I remember turning to my caddy, and I said, how many birdies in a row have you seen? And he said, I've seen 4. I said, I know I can do 6 because I've done that before. So I end up birding 6, 7, and 8. So I'm now 8 under after 8. And when I make a birdie, I circle my birdies. I don't know if you circle or if you make birdies.
This table makes birdies. That table doesn't make birdies.
So anyway, so there's a lot of circles on my card, and I'm getting a little nervous. I get to the 9th hole, and I remember turning to my caddy, and I said, I'm so nervous, I need to make a par. He said, okay. So, I parred the 9th hole, and I make the turn, and so now we're 8 under after 9, and I get to the 10th tee, and all of a sudden I'm feeling good again, and I turned to my caddy, Terry, and I said, I'm ready for some more birdies. He said, okay. So, we birdie 10, 11, 12, and 13, so now we're 12 under after 13, and, I'm starting to think, I'm, quite familiar with, the LPGA history and the scoring, and I know that this is, a special day, and then I parred, a few holes and birdie 17, so I'm now 13 under going to the last hole, and I remember just, trying to stay calm. The adrenaline was pumping tremendously, and I knew, you have to club down, or even club down 2, because I was hitting it so far, because I was so energized, and standing there on my second shot, it was a par 4. It was, I only had, less than 120 yards in, and my caddy said, why don't you aim for the center of the green? And I said, well, I'm going at the flag. I've been going at the flag all day. Just give me, a club shorter. I know I'm going to get there. I hit it on the green. I had about a 9-footer or so for 58, and rolled a little bit on the left side to about 3 feet, and marked my ball and let my playing partners finish. And of all the players that you can play with, so every week there's 144 players. So there's 143 others I can play with, of course, and one of them was my sister. So I was paired with my sister and Meg Mallon, who was one of the top players at the time. So they were finishing out, and I was just kind of watching that putt grow by the time But anyway, I went up there, stood to the ball, and just told myself, trust yourself. You've hit many of these, and the ball doesn't know what it's going in for. So just gotta make a good stroke, and figured if I miss it, it's a good round, 60. But if I make it, it's 59. So anyway, no, I just kind of leaped in my caddy's arms, didn't really know what to do. But it was just one. I mean, obviously it was a good round. One of those days where things kind of go your way. I hit every fairway, every green, so I had a lot of opportunities. But the one thing I took out of that round, I mean, I've analyzed it to death just to try to figure out why I haven't done it again. Because I never thought about the second putt. I literally just went up there and kind of read it, and somehow never thought that I needed to lag it or I needed to be more aggressive, or it was just kind of one of those days where the hole was this big and it went my way. So yeah,
a good day.
Yeah.
So you've talked about the nerves over that 3-foot putt to shoot the 59, and I asked you in Minneapolis, compare the nerves over that putt versus the nerves of the first tee at Colonial. At Colonial, she was the first female, only female, I guess now, right, to have played in a men's.
58 years. So Babe Saharis had done it
That's
before.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, I would say it was different nerves. I would say that the Colonial, I mean, it was more, because of the atmosphere and what was going on, and I mean, so I was approached early in January of 3. I'd been number 1 in the world for a while, and somebody asked me, would you ever play with a man? And I didn't hesitate. I mean, I grew up playing with the boys at the club. I practiced with the guys, and so I thought, well, why not? If the opportunity presents itself, I think I can learn something. I think it's a good thing to test yourself against the very best in the world. So I got a few invites, and I said, I remember my agent at the time said, do you have any idea what you just said? I said, yeah, I'm playing against the men. So we prepared kind of the team, that I had around me, my caddy and my swing coach and my trainer at the time. We just prepared as much as we could, getting used to playing longer courses, getting used to hitting, instead of maybe 7 or 8 irons into the par 4s, hitting 5 irons in. Instead of being able, to reach the par 5s and 2, now I had to lay up and just kind of get used to the mindset of hitting probably the first shot into the greens. Obviously I hit the ball shorter off the tee, so I'm always going to be the first one trying to get on the green, and getting more in that mindset. And I was extremely nervous on that first tee, because now it's been 4 months. It's been a lot of preparation, a lot of discussions. I know that there was a lot of betting going around. Is he going to kill somebody on the left? Is he going to slice it out of bounds on the right? I know there was a lot of betting. So but for me, it was just really just about testing myself against the very best. See if I could handle the pressure and so forth. I mean, I stood on that putting green. I always end up putting before I go out, to the first tee. And I remember, talking to my caddy, and I said, I don't really know what I'm doing here. And he says, well, it's a little too late now. All these people lined up, and we walked down. The putting green was, elevated, and we walked down. And one of the playing partners in my group, these 2 guys were rookies. This wasn't really what they had signed up for, but it was a great experience for them. And Aaron Barber is his name. He took his hand around my shoulder and just said, hey, let's do this together. And I thought that was so cool for him to embrace the situation. And so we walked down there and we did our kind of normal routine, getting scorecards, showing them what kind of golf balls we're playing and so forth. And I guess my caddy told me this afterwards. I did not know. We're standing there kind of, getting my head covers off and everything. he told me that I had turned to him and I was going to say something and my lips moved, but nothing came out. Maybe that was a good thing, I'm not sure. But yeah, no, then it, they announced my name and I remember, going back to all my lessons of, how do you deal with nerves, just going through my mind, do this, and this, and don't forget to breathe. And I thought, well, I just hope I can, I'm not so worried about the golf shot. I'm worried about keeping the ball on the tee. I was shaking so much. And once the ball stayed on the tee, I figured, okay, just do your routine, just trust yourself and make contact, and off it went.
Yeah, that was something. But now talk about, was it the 10-year anniversary of your playing that Golf Channel did the special?
Yeah.
Okay, which I think is a great story about those two young men that played with you.
Oh, that's right. So this is in 2003. So in 2013, Golf Channel decided to do like a little bit of a 10-year anniversary. You kind of go through some of the back scenes, some of the things that I didn't hear, and you mentioned about the two guys I play with, Dean and Aaron. So, which I wasn't aware of everything. So they said, hey, can you fly to Dallas and we want to just kind of go through the whole thing with you. I said, okay. And so, they put a microphone on me, they had a camera in the car, and they said, can you just talk about how it felt 10 years ago in driving from the airport to the course. And I'm trying to, getting all the thoughts together. And, what happened then is I never walked through the front of the clubhouse, so I never saw the front. So all of a sudden we're driving up to the front. I'm like, is this the golf club? Because I always went through the transportation, through the restaurant entrance, through the kitchen. So I never saw that. And this was a Monday, so there was nobody there. The golf course was closed, the clubhouse was closed. So you go from that 10 years earlier when there was a lot of people. So it looked very different. So we go through the locker room, just kind of reminiscing about some of the things. And then they say, well, how about we go down to the first tee? I said, okay, let's do that. And we walked down there, and again, last time there was a lot of rows of people. There were people in the trees hanging. There was a wall. There were people. All of a sudden, there's like nobody around. But I see a few people on the tee, and so I get down to the tee, and there's two people there with their golf bags, and I look at them, and they're like, hey, we're looking for a third. And it was Aaron and Dean. So they had flown them in, and so we were all talking about, sharing the stories and the things that we had gone through, and I'll never forget, they were like, it's your fault, I had to get up at 4 a.m. and do interviews with CBS and 60 Minutes, and I think Dean said, yeah, I got a clothing contract because of you, because all of a sudden it was on TV, and just some fun stories. It was great to hear that, and then, we played a few holes, we talked about our experience, and then we came to the 18th hole, and there was a family there. It was the father and his two daughters, and they shared the story that 10 years ago, I think they were from Oklahoma, and when the father, he had two young girls, and he wanted really them to get into sports, so he was looking for role models for his two daughters, and he said, we have to drive down to Dallas and see this young lady play against the men. So he said, I put him in the car and we drove down. I didn't have any tickets or anything, but I thought everything would turn out. And it turned out, I guess they went out on the golf course. They stood on the 18th hole at the same place as I saw them here. And of course now these girls are now ladies because they're 10 years older. And they said, yeah, last time I saw you, I wanted to say hi to you, but you were eating a banana. So the memories that they have, and it was just really neat because they said, we picked up the game, and they were not serious golfers by any means, but they said, you opened up kind of our goals of, if you want to achieve something, you got to go out there and do it. So it was really neat to see all the stories kind of surface that I really didn't see or hear before that, but one of the stories that I think is, that kind of touches my heart a little bit is we rented a house for the week, and of the tournament, and their son had died in a car accident. He was just a few months before, and he was an avid golfer, and his dreams was to spread the ashes on the 13th green. So, and I heard that story before I went out and play in the tournament, and it turned out it's a par 3. It's a beautiful par 3 with a lake and a green and so forth. That's where I made my first birdie on the 13th hole.
How about that?
And so actually it gives me some goosebumps today. And then, to go on, and then on Friday, we played, and the second hole was a par 4, and Babe Saharis, who played in the men's tournament before, she was from Dallas, and I guess when later in her life, she was diagnosed with cancer, and she knew that she was coming to an end. She walked out to the golf course, and she went to the second green, and she kissed golf goodbye, and that's where I made my last birdie. And I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's I believe in some of these things. I think things happen for a reason, and it's So Colonia has a big meaning in many ways in my heart, and obviously a big deal in my career.
And you care about young people, and that little girl on the 18th green, that was obvious that you made an impact on her. And I want you to know she made an impact today at Columbus State. There were over 300 people that turned out to hear Annika speak today. And most of them were young ladies, middle school, high school kids. We also had the Mercer golf team. The ladies golf team came over to be with Annika. And then we had a clinic down at Burger King Field. And this is no diva here. Y'all have got to know that. Annika stood out there. She did her clinic for 30 minutes, and then she was there for another 45 minutes signing autographs and having pictures taken. It was really a special day, and we appreciate what you do. So I want you to talk about what you are doing, and how you are trying to impact young ladies and what the foundation's doing now.
Yeah, what am I doing? Well, other than being a mother and a wife, I do spend a lot of time in the game of golf, because obviously golf is my life, has always been, and I want it to be a big part of my life. I come from a golfing family. Now both sides of the family is all about golf. But yeah, it's giving back to the game in different ways. The Annika Foundation was founded 10 years ago, so we're celebrating 10 years. So we're trying to inspire the next generation. I want to, say thank you to golf, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for golf. So how can we inspire the next generation? How can we create opportunities for, especially young ladies? I feel like there's more need to encourage them to either pick up the game or continue to play. We all know that sports play a big part in anybody's life, and all the benefits and so forth. But just from golf, I think it's really a game or a sport, whatever you want to call it, that you can play all your life, any gender, any skill level. And I just feel like I want to share that with others. And I think golf teaches you so many life lessons, whether it's the 9 healthy habits that we talk about in First Tee, or what we talk about is the 9 healthy habits. That's a healthy life lessons, and healthy habits are really important. And I think once you step out of golf, it's it's whether it's determination, or it's integrity, or perseverance, or patience, or all these focus and goal setting. I think it's so relevant from the game of golf to life. So why not try and marry them a lot more? And I just I love to share the passion and the knowledge I have to these young girls. And a lot of the girls that we interact with are it's a crucial age. There's so many distractions, whether it's school or friends or boyfriends or just pressure. I just feel like it's you got to just help them along the way a little bit to make better decisions. It's tough to be a young person today. It's and how can we inspire them? How can we motivate them? Whether it's through golf tournaments, whether it's through these different workshops. Our tagline is more than golf. So we try to implement different things, and obviously golf. I know girls golf, and I know what it's like to go through college. I know what it's like to to start a career, and then also just having dreams of being married and have a family. And so just trying to combine that all, and share that it's possible to have a career as a woman, and to live your dream, but then also not to be afraid to try new things. Growing up, and I would say that even to today, being shy by nature. Some of these talking events is not second nature to me by any means. So, how do you overcome, fear? Like, how do you face it, and how do you grow as a person? And whether it's through golf or whether it's whatever channels it is, and just, making sure that you learn something every day. And so I think we all have different things that we're afraid of or things we run away from. I mean, early on in my amateur career, I would miss on purpose. I would do a 3-putt or a chip on a putt just so I didn't have to give a winning speech. And, that would haunt me for a while because I knew inside that I could really play better. But, the fear of speaking just made me want to, mess up on purpose, which sounds funny, but I think we all have different things in our life that we would rather avoid, when you're in uncomfortable situations. So, I like to share those stories that we all have different things, and, if you want to get somewhere in life, you got to work hard. And I mean, I'm obviously speaking to a crowd that have gone through this very similar in your own lives and all, different paths or your journey in your life. So, but I mean, I think it's important to share that with the younger generation, and so that's kind of what we do.
Yeah, and you do it well, and the lessons of life. Those young ladies at the Annika Intercollegiate were, they paid attention to what you had to say. And I did think it was interesting how your dad tricked you into having to make that speech the first time.
Yeah, so this was happening, I finished second or third, and I thought, well, that's, quite a good compromise. You still get a prize, but you don't have to speak. So, my parents, they called the next tournament, and they came up with a plan that everybody had to say something. So, the next tournament I play, and you can imagine how, surprised I was when they asked me to.
When you missed the putt and still had to speak, right?
Yes. So you might as well make the putt. But I remember, I was really nervous, and I said, "Ooh, what am I going to do?" And my dad said, "Well, just bring up a golf club. Hold the golf club in your hand if that makes you feel more comfortable." And I remember he said, "Just say something like, I normally like my clubs to do the talking." And then I remember they gave a prize to the person that finished last, and that person said, "I'd rather not have my golf clubs." It turned into be something funny, and like I said, it's just still very, not something I'm comfortable with. But a few years ago, I remember the university I went to, University of Arizona. They called me and said, "Hey, we would love for you to give the commencement speech," and I thought, no way. You got the wrong number. But before you just said no or turned it down, I said, well, can I think about it? So, because I said that's the right thing to do. So I thought about it, and of course, it's easy to say no, because then you don't have to think about it, you don't have to prepare, you don't have to worry about it. But then I said, you know what? This is a big challenge for me. This is something, I wonder if I can handle it. I wonder if I could do it. So I called up and I said yes, and I thought, oh, what have I done? But then, I had 6 months to prepare, so it was a lot of time just to think about what to say and what message I wanted to leave, and somehow I managed, to put something together and get a message out there, and it was actually in 2008 when I was stepping away and I was entering a new phase in my life, from professional golf to the business world. And I remember, as you probably do too, 2008 wasn't the best. The world was, from a financial standpoint, was literally crashing, and here I come with my energy and my determination to start a high-end golf business. High-end wine, golf academy, selling wine, selling clothing. I mean, nobody was touching their wallets, which I wasn't either. So, but if we all have a crystal ball, then things might have been different. But that was my message. We're all stepping in and challenges, and I'm curious how things are going to go for me as much as, what's going to happen for you when you kind of leave the university. So for me, that was just something I said, hey, I'm just going to face it. This is how you learn, this is how you get better. And of course, I was happy I did it afterwards. But just being in uncomfortable situations is, can be tough. But afterwards, I think there's a certain satisfaction of just knowing that you did something that didn't come.
Out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.